迄个什么人啊，手年前伊会当处理来。
即马几点？
即摆已经32分啊，嘿，所以即摆使开始，你来讲一下啦。
啊，X 以下一对啊，阮这若要排10位啦。
各位进来吼，咱第一场吼是在1点半，咱的主讲者是韩国人，讲英文，讲迄个 ST 甲 Medicare 的 planning，所以请大家先入来互伊开始。咱要报名，则一个出来报名安尼安尼较袂对咱的主讲者较尊重就对啦，OK， 大家请入来，准备开始中昼的食饭到3点，所以有真长的时间恁去摕物件，你若去摕物件食会当做较后壁的桌顶食啦嘛会使坐到恁的桌顶食，但是呢。拜托各位主讲者伫演讲的时阵肃静啦肃静。摕来遮食，莫讲话，会使去摕是讲若不到要不要求，你豆豆一个啦，莫。
好来，他讲个礼拜哈。我都忘了是要蔡启东。
各位乡亲大家好，请关心就位。咱要开始啊！这个头一场是这个咱的请一个律师来甲咱演讲。演讲的题目是 estate planning。大家拢感觉讲，咱趁安尼趁钱趁安尼一世人啦咱嘛有存一寡钱，这个。estate planning 讲要用 Medicaid， 到底是要怎创？才有可能今日咱请到一个，咱这位是Gia Kim 的金智儿，伊的中国的迄个中文名叫做姓金啦然后志气的志，女儿的儿，安尼咱即马就大家来听看卖讲，伊到底即个要怎 plan 要怎计划，咱会当去用到即个 Medicaid 的即个经验咱大家甲，互我先甲吹来。
大家好，
嗨，
我叫金智儿，新年快乐！
新年快乐！新年快乐！
Hello everyone, it is my great honor to be standing in front of members of a Taiwanese pen club. I'm very happy also because the next president of the United States will be Andrew Yang. I met him twice personally and I told him please become our president and he said yes I will, so I trust him. I hope to share useful information about your retirement years today, and there might be some new information. If you have any questions, you can ask me after the presentation, and I'll be also available at the table. So the topic of my presentation today is the secure the future with estate and long-term care planning. So I want to learn more about you. Raise your hand if you are more than 50 years old. Okay? How about 65 years old? So you have a Medicare, right? And how about over 80 years old? Okay, that's great. So we just started a new year a few hours ago, and in the new year we talk about goals, right? So goals, we want to identify the goals you have in your retirement years, and you worked very hard your life, and you created business out of nothing, and raise your children to be important members of society. What do you need to do to enjoy meaningful retirement years and leave legacy for your family? First, you want to protect what you've earned with hard working. And I see the controlling your assets is very important for Asian parents. I have clients who are over 80 years old and sometimes over 90 years old, and they still want to manage their own property. They don't want to get help from their children. Does this sound familiar? There are many things that can take money from your assets. First thing is tax. Many clients are worried that tax keeps rising and they want to plan to pay less tax, right? That's fine. And in America, even if you don't have operating business and maybe you're retired already, you can still be sued if you rent your property and when you drive and get into a car accident. And another thing is disability and long-term care in your later years can cost a lot of money if you're not prepared. We want to talk more about it later. And other than taking care of your family, you might have a philanthropic goal, like supporting Taiwanese American community or others. And there are many ways to achieve this goal and also get tax benefits. You might also have goals for your husband or wife. Most of all, you want to make sure that your husband or wife have enough resources when they're alone, when you're not there anymore. Also, maybe if they remarry after you, you don't want your assets to go to the other person and their family, right? And tax is always on our mind, and we want our spouse to pay as little tax as possible. So New Jersey repealed estate tax a few years ago, but there is still federal estate tax. Does anyone know federal tax exemption amount? How much you can give to your family without paying tax?
When you buy something?
Huh?
32,000?
That's a lot higher. Maybe you're thinking about annual exemption, 15,000. So you can give 15,000 per each person every year without paying tax. But overall, you don't have to pay tax up to $11.4 million each person. So if you have $5 million and you want to give everything to your children, you don't have to pay tax at the moment. But it's only temporary, and Trump made the law, just made the change very quickly after he became the president. So after 2025, 2025, it goes down to $5 million again. So if your asset is more than $5 million, you need to plan ahead not to pay estate tax. Okay? And you also have goals for your children and grandchildren. Education is a very important value for Asian families. And you want your children to have a good financial foundation. Sometimes I ask my clients, you work so hard all your life and you have this wealth and all your children have very good careers. Why don't you enjoy your life more instead of leaving everything. And they tell me, you know, it's not enough to have a good job in America. I want to give them more foundation to have a good life in America. And sometimes children might not be responsible with money. So you want to protect them from wasting family wealth you leave them. And as you know, a lot of marriages end up in divorce, more than half. So you want to make sure your children don't give your assets to divorcing spouse. Again, US is a country where anybody can get sued for anything. We want to make sure that when you give property to your children, they don't get taken away by lawsuit. And also, again, we hope our children pay less tax. There's a gift tax, estate tax, and generation skipping tax is when grandparents leave properties for their grandchildren. There is a special tax. So when we talk about estate planning, we want to help clients achieve all these goals. It's not just what you do when you die. Many clients come to my office thinking they just need a simple will and decide how their assets will be divided among children after they die, but that's not all. So estate planning decides who's going to manage your assets during life, when you're sick, and after that. And you should be the person who decides who is the right person, not government. And planning can be done to protect and preserve assets from creditors and taxes and probate. Does anyone know what the probate is? Has anybody experienced probate? Should I explain what it is? Yeah. Probate is when someone dies in America. It's a complicated court process that you have to go through to distribute assets. So it takes more than a year or 2 years. In Asia, it takes a very short time if someone passed away. But in America, it takes a very long time, and it's very expensive to go through a lot of lawyer fees and court fees. And another thing is that anything that happens in the courtroom, it's a public information. So if you have to go through the probate, and all the information, personal information of your family and your properties, how much they are worth, where they are, it's going to be all public information, and anybody can access that information. So basically, we want to avoid that process. And another thing is, you can decide how the wealth that you leave to your family will be used, that you work very hard for. So you are not just leaving money, you are leaving the legacy about how family can remember you and how you work hard. And you want so they can follow the lessons that you leave with them. And another thing is, these days, a big part of estate planning is to prepare for long-term care costs. And we'll talk more about this later, but if you don't have a plan, you can use up your money very easily because it is very expensive in America, unfortunately. And you can put your children's assets in danger as well. So planning ahead means taking control. A lot Asian parents don't like to talk about the future, the debt, but when I tell them if you don't do anything, the government's going to decide for you, and they understand because they don't like, they want to have control. And if you don't plan, this is what happens. So before you pass away, when you get sick and you cannot make your own decision, then you have to go to court to decide who's going to act as your guardian. That takes about 4 to 6 months, and it's another expensive process. And sometimes it's not the right person for you, and they might not know what your wishes are. So for financial matters, there are 2 ways to take care of a situation when you cannot. First, power of attorney is a document that gives another person to act as your agent and sign documents for you. When you create power of attorney, you give authority immediately, so there is no need to determine if you are capable of signing documents. So this document is only valid when you are living, and it's void when you pass away. So one thing you should know is power of attorney can age. If it is more than 5 years old, some banks don't like taking it, and because they think it might not reflect your current wishes. So on the other hand, you can use something called the living trust. It is a trust that you set up when you're living. That's why it's a living trust. Anyone heard of a living trust, or has anyone set up? Anyone set up? Okay, so I'll explain a little bit. So it's similar to corporation. You set up and you own everything under its name. So your house is owned by a trust. Your investment accounts are owned by trust, and your bank accounts are owned by trust. So the difference is corporation is public, and you have to register it every day, every year. But the trust is a private. So anything that's in the trust, it's just private documents that you can give. So basically, it's an agreement between 3 parties: grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. Grantor is somebody who puts assets into the trust, and trustee is someone who manages assets for the trust. And beneficiary is somebody who receives benefit from the trust. And in living trust, these 3 are just one person, you. But the reason that we do this is if you set up a living trust, because you don't own anything and everything is owned by the trust, you don't have the probate. So this is the right purpose to set up a living trust. So that's for financial matters. And for health, we use Advanced Healthcare Directive. This is very important because it's used when you cannot make your own decisions about healthcare. You allow somebody to make decisions for you. Again, this is only valid when you're alive. And there's a living will. Living will is not related to the will that we know. It gives instruction to hospitals and doctors how to take care of you at the end of your life. If you are in a coma, whether to continue life support or not. So most people decide not to continue life support when there is no hope. And this document is also called power of attorney for, I'm sorry, this is a living will. Who knows about the will? Everybody knows about the will, right? So the will is, a lot of people know. I'm discussing this the last because if we do the planning right, this is not the most important document because the will is basically direction that you give to a judge in the court about how to distribute your assets after you pass away. Because if you plan ahead, your family doesn't have to go to court for the probate, and you don't need this document. So we want to have everything correctly so we don't go to court. We recommend not to rely on a will as your estate planning document. Will is cheaper to make now, but it costs a lot more later. So the estimate is about 5 to 10% of your total assets can be spent to go through the probate process. And the real problem about the probate is that it's a public process. Anybody can get information about your family and what they received and where the properties are by looking at the court documents. So if you care about your family, you don't want them to go through this process. You know, they are already experiencing emotional stress, and this is very stressful legal process. So to compare the trust and will again, trust doesn't need probate process, will needs probate process, and it's costly and it takes a long time. And trust, I mentioned that power of attorney can, if it's more than 5 years old, it's not very good. But if you use a trust document, it's forever. As long as you're living, the trust can act as your power of attorney. So it takes care of a situation when you're sick and after you pass away. But will is only after you pass away. So you need a power of attorney to take care of situation when you're sick or when you're in when you have Alzheimer's situation. So will is not complete estate planning. Again, trust, you can keep everything private, but for will, it's not a private process. Everything is available for anyone. So we talked about living trust. So this is the basic planning to be done to avoid the probate. Anybody over 21 years old who have assets in America should have this because accidents can happen to anybody. And I also have this planning. And when you create a living trust, instead of waiting until you pass away, you can create trust for your children. And why would you want trust for your children? And we'll talk about it in the next slide. One thing to remember about living trust is that assets you put into living trust are not safe from Medicaid. What does it mean that it's not protected from Medicaid? Medicaid requires that you have a low income and low resources, but assets that in the living trust are still your assets, so you cannot qualify for Medicaid. And if you already have a Medicaid and you have assets in your living trust, when you pass away, Medicaid tries to recover all the expenses. They're going to bill you after you pass away. So the living trust assets are not protected from recovery. So we can make the living trust better. I mentioned about the trust for children, and the reason that we do it is that even after you pass away, you want to protect your family wealth from divorces and losses, bankruptcy, and Medicaid. Medicaid for your children's generation. And the solution is beneficiary control trust. So I set up expensive trust for doctors and business owners called Asset Protection Trust. And they do it because they want to protect their properties from losses and bankruptcy and divorce during their lifetime. But in order to use that, they need to have third-party trust company as a trust. And the setting up the asset protection trust is more expensive, and you need to pay the trust company annual fees. But when children receive beneficiary-controlled trust from parents, they can be their own trustees, so they don't pay anybody annual fee, and control the assets however they want, and still get the better protection from creditors than expensive asset protection trust. And why? It's because the assets were never theirs. The parents never gave them directly. It was they were given in trust, so they can protect the wealth. So now I want to talk about more advanced planning to address specific issues of your retirement. So there are many risks to your retirement income. Taxes, creditors, I have a client who has an investment account with millions of dollars, and he doesn't know what's happening in the account. And there's a fund manager who is managing it, but I hope he's a good person. And there are retirement costs, and there's healthcare costs. And the largest hidden cost of retirement is long-term care, which includes home care and nursing home care. Does anyone have somebody who's receiving long-term care now? Long-term care, yes. It's expensive, right? Or do you have Medicaid? Or do they have Medicaid?
I have the university. I have it from the university.
Oh, you have the university? Oh, okay. So it's a benefit.
Right.
Oh, that's great. That's just great. So we can look at the numbers about long-term care. 47% of men above age 65 need care for average of 1.5 years. And 58% of women aged over 65 need care for average of 2.5 years. And what about the cost? Nursing home it's an annual number. It's 144,000 to 204,000, and assisted living it's less medical care than nursing home. It's 48,000 to 110,000, and home care is usual average cost is $28 per hour. So if you're getting 8 hours a day, it's 81,706, and if you get 24 hours, it's $250,000. And I have one of my clients has advanced Alzheimer, and nursing home costs more than $20,000 a month. So it's actually in reality it's a bigger number than this. This is the average. Because long-term care costs so much and we never know what will happen to our health, everybody needs to prepare for it. And you have more options if you start early. So I'm 40 years old, and my generation is not going to have Medicaid to cover our long-term care. So I have life insurance that has a long-term care rider. So it means I have that benefit, and if I get sick, I need long-term care, they're going to send me cash from that benefit. So I recommend you also talk to your children about long-term care, because if they get it when they're healthy and young and healthy, it's a lot cheaper. So there are mainly three ways to pay for long-term care. And first is self-insuring. if you feel comfortable paying cash out of pocket for at least 3 years or more, then we can plan around it. And also, you can seek insurance options like I did, and there are different products. There are different products for long-term care, like traditional long-term care insurance. We don't use it anymore because the premium got very, very expensive. Usually, it's connected to life insurance, like life insurance that pays part of that benefit, or life insurance with an acceleration rider. One of my clients had late-stage cancer, and she received a $400,000 lump sum as a death benefit, accelerated death benefit. So what if you cannot get insurance? You don't have cash to pay for it, and you already have health problems, so you cannot get insurance. Then you have to look into government benefits. And a lot of people don't know that Medicare don't cover for long-term care. It only pays for first 100 days. 20 days is free, completely free, 100% covered. 80 days has a daily copay of $165. So it can add up. And after 100 days, if you need more long-term care, then you need Medicaid.
Is that once a year? Or 100
No,
days per year?
Once in a lifetime. So what is Medicaid? So you might be thinking, oh, I have too much money to qualify for Medicaid. It's only for poor people. But I still hope that you can consider Medicaid if you cannot pay for long-term care that costs more than $200,000 a year. Medicare is available for anyone over 65, but Medicaid is means tested. It means you have to have very small income and very small resources to qualify. And a lot of people here have Medicare already, and it covers for most medical expenses, except dental and vision are not covered. It's covered by Medicaid, and most importantly, Medicaid covers long-term care 100%. So you're wondering, I have a house, I have assets, I'm receiving security benefits every month, and I'm receiving investment income. Can I still get Medicaid? And yes, you can get it. You can get Medicaid even if you have income and assets over the Medicaid limit. So what is the Medicaid limit? In New York, you should have less than $15,450 for single in your bank account, or the total asset under your name should be under $15,450, and for couple it's $22,800. And in New Jersey, it's a lot smaller. You cannot have more than $2,000 under your bank account. And if you are a couple, it's under $3,000. So for income, it's you can have up to $879 for single in New York and $1,287 for couple. And in New Jersey, it's $2,313 for single and $4,626 for a couple. So that includes Social Security benefits and anything you receive every month. So there is a very big, there are a lot of differences in New York and New Jersey Medicaid program. So when senior citizen clients come to my office, I ask them first, are you prepared for long-term care? And do you have do you feel comfortable paying out of pocket? And if the answer is no, do you want to find out insurance option? And if they say no, I ask, are you willing to move to New York when you get sick? It is a lot harder to qualify for New Jersey Medicaid. And in New York, you can set up a Medicaid trust. It's different from living trust we talked about. And move the assets to the Medicaid trust, and you can qualify for home care Medicaid right away, as short as 2 weeks. But in New Jersey, you have to wait 5 years, both nursing home and home care. So if you don't have insurance and you get sick and you need assistance right away, moving to New York is an option. I'm curious, how many people are willing to move to New York? I know New Jersey is a very nice place to live, but how many people can think about, consider moving to New York? Yes. But quality-wise, New Jersey Medicaid is actually better. The nursing homes are better maintained, because in New York, it's very easy to get, and it's actually there's some deficit issues, and I don't know how they can sustain it. But right now, you can get New York Medicaid right away. And you can apply for Medicaid the first day that you move to New York. So if you get sick and your family cannot take care of you, you can move to New York and you can get home care. Someone coming to nurse coming to your home to take care of you right away. So maybe you have some friends who has a house but they still have Medicaid. It's because up to $878,000 equity, you can, as long as you live there, you can still get Medicaid. And one automobile, one car per household is allowed. And you can also have prepaid barrier and funeral services. And you can have life insurance up to $1,500 face value. And retirement account, only in New York, it doesn't count as assets. If you are receiving periodic payment. But in New Jersey, I see a lot of my clients, their biggest assets are retirement accounts. And in New York, they can still get Medicaid, but in New Jersey, they have to do some, either give to their children or put in a trust to get rid of retirement accounts from their assets. So again, we talked about 5 years. 5 years is an important number in Medicaid. You need to plan 5 years in advance for nursing home care. But home care only in New York is available immediately. And if you need to go to nursing home before 5 years, there is a way to save some assets, not all. So please, seek help before you use up all the assets. So this is mainly in New York, and we use Medicaid Asset Protection Trust to qualify for Medicaid. So there are 3 reasons to set up this very special trust. That's different from living trust. So number 1 is to qualify for Medicaid by removing assets out of your estate. And number 2, like living trust, if you set this up, when you pass away, your family doesn't have to go to court. There is no probate process. And number 3, if anything that you put in the Medicaid trust is safe from recovery, I mentioned that after you pass away, if you use if Medicaid paid for your service long-term care, they ask you back. They ask you to pay back after you pass away. But if you put them in the trust, they are safe. So we create this trust and clients put all their assets into the trust. So trustee in this case is usually children. They will manage it for free, I hope, because eventually they'll receive the assets. And beneficiaries for income, like rental income or dividends and interest that are generated from properties, can go to parents. But everything else, like when you sell your house, those type of money should go to children. So you are telling Medicaid, look, I'm not controlling these properties. My children are controlling property, and I'm not receiving any money except income. So these are not my assets. That's what you tell Medicaid office. So the idea is you look poor without actually being poor, and it's a legal. It's an illegal way of doing this. So all these assets, home, bank account, stock, bonds, annuity, life insurance, business, real estate, they can go into the trust, except 12,000 in New York and 2,000 in New Jersey that you can have in bank accounts. And income can be yours, and everything else go to church. So you can say, if I give the money to children, what are they gonna do? You need to have a discussion. If children receive the money from the trust, they can give to you in cash. As long as the money doesn't hit your bank account, you don't receive directly from the trust, it's okay. And they can also pay bills for you. So you can ask, do I still have control over this? If I give to the trust, don't I lose everything? And it's not. You can still keep cash, bank accounts, and retirement account outside of the trust. And if your children don't listen to you, you can fire them. You still have the power. And you can also change beneficiaries later. And this trust it's called irrevocable trust that cannot be changed. But there are actually many ways to make amendments or revoke. So for Medicaid purpose, anything that's in the Medicaid trust are not yours anymore. But for tax purpose, they're still considered yours, and all the income is reported on your personal tax return. So this is great for many reasons, because you don't pay gift tax because it's still yours, and you can keep senior citizens and veterans exemptions. Like in New York, you pay 50% discounted property tax. I think there's something similar in New Jersey. And you can keep that exemption as well. And most cases, children have a higher income tax rate than parents. In that case, if you still pay tax as a parent's tax rate, so it's a lower tax. If a lot of some people think about giving away their assets to their children directly, so they don't own anything and they can qualify for Medicaid. But if you do that, you lose all these tax benefits. And one of the most important tax benefits is called step-up basic. So I have a client who bought land in 1970s for $40,000. And he built a house for $70,000. So he spent $100,000 on the property, and right now the property is valued at $4 million. So it's a lot of capital gains, right? If he gives the property to children right away, their children have to pay almost 1.3 million property capital gains tax when they sell. But in America, the step-up basis says that if you give property with the capital gains at death, not during your life, at death, the cost basis steps up to market price. So the children, when they receive it after parents die, they don't pay any capital gain tax because the basis is stepped up to market price. Okay, we talked about goals. So this is it for my presentation. Thank you so much. And we talked about goals of retirement years and how estate planning and long-term care planning can help you achieve them. And I hope you have a chance after this presentation to talk to your financial advisors and insurance agents and estate planning lawyers. Our main office is in Albany, and we have offices in Manhattan, Flushing, and Fort Lee. And of course, the closest office is in Fort Lee. And I offer free consultation for everyone here today who signs a signing sheet. And I'll be at the table. And please talk to me if you have any questions. And I have some materials to you today. Thank you so much. Oh, I wrote down some Chinese words. 未雨绸缪 right?
未雨绸缪
未雨绸缪 Thank you so much. 谢谢。
真感谢金主书吼，大家讲这个 estate planning 吼，咱做读书就讲是安怎量身定做对无？爱去量衫嘛吼，这个 trust 吼，同款，毋是讲